So, this is not a ghost story. This is a story of me trying to order lunch in Australia. So, 2016, I was there for work. I did an Asia Pacific tour around the Pacific for 3.5 weeks. Started in Tokyo, which was awesome, but you better have a translator with you. Um, Tokyo makes Manhattan look like Kansas. It's that big and that developed. I spent time in Singapore, Bangkok, Shanghai, and then finally Sydney, Australia. I was supposed to go to New Zealand, but they canceled that the last minute. So, anyway, I get to Australia, I think it's Friday. So, I'm there through the weekend till the following Wednesday doing training and other things, some ride alongs. So, I had the weekend. So, I had already done some research before going, and I booked myself a trip up the Harbour Bridge. There's the bridge climb in Sydney there. You can climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So here's my cap and there's my shirt to prove it. I also have my climber certificate and the photos they took. So there's your proof right there. I climbed the Harbour Bridge. Anyway, I did the express climb. If you want some other information, you can go to their website. But I did the express climb, which was 45 minutes up and back, I believe. They have the regular bridge climb, which I think goes up along the outside of the arch. But we went underneath and then straight up through the middle of the bridge. So it's a little bit quicker. Anyway, so I did that in the morning. And then the afternoon, I did Taronga Zoo and Sydney Harbor. They have a really good transit system. They also have a water taxi system, which you use the same card, tap, and then you get on. Took the water taxi over to Taronga Zoo to see the koalas. So here's my proof that I saw the koalas and the Tasmanian devils and the platypuses and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, Saturday was taken care of. Great day. Um, no problems. Sunday, I had mentioned, I said, well, I want to go to Bondi Beach. That seems to be the big tourist spot. And it's like, oh, no, no, there's too many tourists there. Don't go to Bondi. Go out to Manlybeach. It's quieter. All right. So Sunday, I take the water taxi out and I keep doing this. One thing you don't realize about Australia, if you've not been there, is that, southern hemisphere, down under, but the sun and the moon are in the northern sky. They're not in the southern sky. So my whole sense of direction was flipped around 180. So I kept thinking north was south, west was east. So we're going this way. I'm thinking we're going west, but we're actually going east. So Manly Beach is on an isthmus between the harbor and the Pacific Ocean. And it's not very wide, maybe a quarter mile, if that. And so water taxi pulls up on the inside of the isthmus, and then they have a long concourse that goes down to the beach, which they call the Corvo. And again, I'm apologizing to all my Australian friends who may be watching this. I think my accent is spot on. They told me it was total crap the whole time I was there. So I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert. But anyway, so I'm walking down the Corvo and I'm looking for Macca's, which is McDonald's, or Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King, or some other quick service place. And all I can find is a store called the American Hot Dog Man. I'm like, oh, hey, cool. I can get an American hot dog. So I walk in and go up to the cash register and I'm looking around. They have a big chalkboard on the wall for a menu and everything's written out there. And then, Chicago dog and this dog and that dog. But I can't find anything about sizes. So there's a lady at the cash register, a girl behind the register checking her out, and then a tall kid standing behind the glass case with the food in it. So I get up to the cash register, lady's checking out. She has a big cardboard boat of tater tots. So I'm like, oh, you guys have tater tots? That's awesome. So the girl behind the register looks up, looks at me, turns around, walks into the back, and doesn't come back out again. So I'm standing there for 3-4 minutes. So I finally say, is she coming back out? And so he steps over and says, all right, what can I get you? And so I'm an engineer. I know Australia is metric system. I can speak intelligently in both systems. I work with them all the time at work. But however, in the US, a hot dog that's 12 inches long is a foot long. So that we just call it a foot long. So I ask him, and I'm doing this: do you have regular size hot dogs or foot long hot dogs? Like this. And his response is, I don't know what a foot is. It's like, well, you have two of them at the end of your legs, but I didn't say that. So he says, step over to the case. So we step over, and of course, they have regular size and foot long hot dogs. So I said, okay, good. Foot long, 30 centimeters, whatever you call it. I want that. Okay, puts it in a bun. Then he asks, do you want mustard on that? I said, do you have spicy mustard? He says, we have seeded mustard. Fine, close enough, just put it on. Then he asks, you want tomato sauce on that? Which I know in Australia, that's what they call ketchup. However, while I was in Sydney, I did see labels on bottles that said ketchup. A lot of them did say tomato sauce. So I stood there apparently for a second too long, and he says, oh, I think you Yanks call it ketchup. It's like, well, thank you, I know. But I said, no, you don't put ketchup on a hot dog. That's just plain old-fashioned communism. And he just looks at me a second. He goes, all right. It's like, anything else? I said, oh, yeah. I wanted a thing of the tater tots. He goes, the what? The tater tots, the fried cylindrical potato things that were in a boat. She just walked away with them when I came in. He looks over to the menu on the wall and looks over. He's like, oh, the potato royales. Sure, whatever. I'll take those. Getting a little ticked. But I'm trying to be nice because I'm in a foreign country. My Australian friends are not buying that right now for a second. Anyway, so he gets me tater tots, and I said, large Coke, please. Like, you do call it Coke here, right? Yeah, no problem. So I pay for it, sit down, and I have my meal. So um, just a tip, if you're going to call yourself the American hot dog stand, make sure you know what a foot long is. Anyway, after lunch, went to the beach, waded into the Pacific Ocean, and quickly discovered that even though it was February that year, which is summer in the southern hemisphere, the water was freezing cold. So then I was told when I asked, they had a nor'easter, which in New England means snow, sleet, wind, almost a hurricane. But in Sydney, apparently nor'easter means it pulls the water up from Antarctica and it gets very cold. So the water was pretty shockingly cold. So I waited around for a little bit till my legs got numb. Then I got out and then went to Ben and Jerry's, which they did have, and then back to Sydney again. But anyway, that's my experience trying to order a hot dog in Manly Beach, New South Wales, Australia.